second thoughts, we never have regrets. We give our total effort, we always give our best. We never make excuses, we never choose to fail. We always stand committed, we never choose to bail. We're always in position, at attention in our place. We never stop believing, we never lose the faith. We are always motivated, we are always inspired. We are always dedicated, we're always on fire. We all that, we know that, we bad, we wild, we know that.
What's good, everyone? This is Darrell D. Kelly coming at you with another episode of my Midweek Motivations. Well, as you can see, I am back on the grounds on the property. But I wanted to show you something. The crew is here that's going to be working on laying the foundation for the new construction. Can you see this? The crew is here working on the new construction. And they're working on the foundation. They're actually doing preparation works for the foundation. And that actually reminded me of one of my favorite words that I wanted to share with you today, which is the word, I just said it, foundation. You know, when we think of a foundation, we think of that, I don't know if we often think of foundation as support. You know, foundation is support. The foundation of the building is the part of the building that's going to support everything else that's built on top of it. So think about your life, the foundations you have in life, and there's more than one. The foundation that supports your family structure, the foundation that supports your dream, your vision, your business, the foundation that supports. And so there's different areas in life where we build foundations for things, you know. And so right over my shoulder here, you see this wooden beam. Well, let me start with the first thing that had to be done. First thing that had to be done in preparations for setting the foundation was a tree stump had to be removed. Large tree stump had to be removed. And one of the things that we don't often consider before we lay a foundation, there's some things that have to be moved. Before we set a foundation, there are some things that have to be taken out of the way. So a large tree stump had to be taken out of the way. The roots were pulled up. Why? Because we don't want anything to compromise the integrity of the foundation once it's laid. Isn't that a metaphor for life? Sometimes we just try to lay a foundation right where we are, right where it is, but we haven't taken the time to move some things out of the way. So maybe it's moving some bad practices out of the way, moving a bad mentality, a bad attitude out of the way, moving negativity, cycles of things that go wrong, cycles of things we've done wrong, you know, and the effect of what it caused in our lives. Going back and clearing some things out of the way, clearing our hearts, clearing our minds, clearing our opportunities. Sometimes we just need to clear the field before we proceed forward with laying our foundation. It's all part of the preparation. But then secondly, after you clear the field, you have to build the frame. See that wooden frame back there? These gentlemen started working on this frame. They're still adding to it even as we speak. They're adding to the frame of the foundation. When you think of framing your foundation, I don't want you to skip that phase when you're laying the foundation in life. You have to also frame your foundation. You know, when we think of the term frame, it means also to formulate or to create a concept, to formulate or to create a plan, to formulate or to create a system. When you're doing that, you're framing something. You know, when I do interviews, I've done television interviews, radio interviews, and there's always a brief meeting before we go live on the air. And what are we doing in that meeting? We're framing the conversation. We're framing the discussion. So you can frame the plan. You can frame the concept. Why? Because without that frame, you try to set a foundation in there without a frame, it won't keep its form. It won't hold its shape. And sometimes, you know, in life, people who haven't framed their foundation, when things come, when things get hard, when more pressure and more weight is added to their lives, then what happens? There's a collapse, there's a breakdown in the foundation, and it causes everything else to be affected. So you want to frame your ideas, you want to frame your concepts, you want to frame your plans. Matter of fact, I just said ideas. That's one of the definitions of foundation. A foundation is an idea. You know, what's the idea that everything else is built on? What's the idea that supports everything else? Remember I said support earlier. What's the idea that supports everything else that's going to be built on top of that? Foundation. Foundation. So we have to clear the field. We have to frame the foundation so that when it sets, it's going to be in place. When the foundation is finally set, think about what is right behind me. The foundation is not even there yet. This is just work that goes into it so that once the foundation is laid, you know, once things are, as we used to say, etched in stone, once things are in concrete, then, hey, it's permanent. So you want to do as much as you can, do so that your foundations can be framed correctly so that once it's set, it's permanent and it'll be a benefit to whatever you build on top of that. Thirdly, I want you to look behind me. You'll see that the trucks have already started to bring in the dirt. You see those mounds of dirt back there? They're bringing that in to fill in the foundation. So what are we saying? Sometimes when you're framing your foundation, you also realize there comes a point where you have to start bringing fill dirt for your foundation. This is what's going to even out the surface. It's going to fill in the gaps. Think about it. Do you have areas in your life where you haven't filled in the gap yet? You don't want things to be uneven. So you bring in some extra dirt. It's going to support the foundation. Fill dirt. What do you need to do to fill in the gaps so that your foundation will be strong once it sets? That could be in a practical sense, learning a new skill or taking some kind of class, advancing a skill we already have. You know, whether it's a class, whether it's an experience, growing in some kind of way. Maybe it's new information, filling our minds with new information. You know what I'm saying? Going to new places, experiencing new things, broadening our perspective. Ways to fill in the dirt, fill in the space that's going to benefit the idea, the foundation, and everything to be built on top of that. So what's one for successful foundation? Number one, clear the field. Number two, frame your foundation. Number three, bring in the fill dirt, fill the gaps, fill in all the gaps so that when it's smoothed out and it's packed in tight, it can set well. That's what it's all about. So listen, I hope you have enjoyed this session of my midweek motivation as we're just looking at the idea of foundation. It takes work. It takes work to go into setting a legit and complete and steady and stable foundation. But you can do it. That's why you're here. Until next time, this is Darrell D. Kelly on my midweek motivation. Y'all be good now.